Yo, what is up? This is my review of the ATK F1 Ultimate after 1 month. Now TLDR, this is a Viper mini clone that I have to kind of like a fingertip grip, and the 38 gram weight and Omron opticals is what makes this special. Now let's start with battery life and the cleanliness check. On 2K polling, the battery lasts exactly 2 days. If I calculate the hours that I spend on, that's about 30 hours total. With the 38 gram weight, you will understand that this is part of the sacrifice that you have to make when you are picking a mice like this. 38 grams, you're going to be expecting 2 days of 2K, 4K polling. That's just part of the deal. The mouse remains super clean and the coating is very good at repelling dirt and grime. There is a little bit of buildup of dirt here underneath the ultimate print, the wording here. So that's where my ring finger kind of like pushes the grime down there. But other than that, that's about it. The mouse remains pretty clean for 1 month of no cleaning. I think that's pretty good. In terms of shape and size, as I mentioned earlier, this is a Viper mini clone, and before this mouse showed up, the Ninjutsu Sora V2 was my main small mouse, and the F1 shape is in fact a smidgen tinier than the Sora V2. But I liked the F1 slightly better because of the comfort grooves that you see here. They're a little bit more aggressive than a Ninjutsu Sora V2. The ATK F1 is smaller than an R1. It's also smaller than a Mad R or Skyrox. Even the triggers are lower than an OP1WE. They measure to about here at about 16.5 millimeters versus an OP1WE, which is around the 18 millimeter mark, just right there at the front of the wheel. Now the build quality, I got a very solid copy. There is no creaking even when I twist it. There's no sound. There's no problem. Even the buttons do not wobble at all, and the scroll wheel does not wobble at all. I think maybe on the first batch there was some issues with QC, so maybe I got a copy that was revised and they managed to iron out the production issues that caused some of the earlier units to have some, slight flexing and popping sounds and whatnot. Also, on a side note, the 8K dongle is locked to the mouse, and you cannot connect it to other 8K mouse. For example, the ATK F1 Pro Max has its own dongle. The Pro Max will not communicate with the Ultimate dongle, and the Ultimate mouse will not connect to the Pro Max dongle. So I have 3 ATK mouses, and all 3 mouses have to use their own dongle, and that is a real bummer. On a side note, the non-ultimate models, the ATK Pro Max and the X1 Pro, they both can share the same dongle, but one of them has to be completely disconnected while the other one is running, which means unlike the old VXE mice, I could run 3 mice with 1 dongle and it would automatically wake up and the other 2 would go to sleep. On the X1s, on the ATKs, is a little bit different. You can connect, but you need to repair them every time you want to swap a mouse. For example, I want to use my X1, I pair it. If I want to change to my F1 Pro, I have to disconnect the X1 and repair the F1 Pro Max in order for it to work with that dongle. So it's a real pain in the ass. They made it this way. And even worse still, if you are on the F1 Ultimate, that dongle is locked to that mouse, so that's a little bit shitty in my opinion. Let's move on to the next topic, which is the coating. The grippy coating is pretty amazing. I have to say, almost as good as an endgame gear coating, minus the smudges and the hand oils sticking to it. You know, as soon as you leave prints on the mouse, like a few seconds later it disappears. It does not stay overnight like an endgame gear. Endgame gear, it will just stay there for the rest of the week. On the ATK mouses it just disappears, so that's pretty good in my opinion. Of course, it's dry and smooth, and it takes some time to warm it up before it gets sticky and grippy. If you have a particularly dry hand, this could be an issue in your first couple of minutes of your session. Next up, the issue is the next one I want to talk about is the buttons. Here's where the F1 earns its money. The optical switches are the best move ATK made when they put this mouse together. The Sora V2, the Sprime, the Skyrocks, the Mad R, they are going to have the same click, the same feel, the same Omron opticals. In my opinion, the Omrons are the leading in terms of click, feel and sound, and they're even better than mechanical switches in my opinion. Let me give you a quick sound test. So there you go, that's the sound test of the ATK F1. Next up is the PTFE feet. These come stock with VXE R1 type of PTFE feet. As you can see, I have removed them and I'm using the NTech Nitro Ultem material dots, and I have 4 dots on here and they are amazing. These are like Bentleys on air rides. The stock feet are usable, they're like this. I'm very familiar with this kind of feet, which is why I did not install them into the Ultimate, because I know exactly how they will perform. They're usable, but they do deteriorate within the first 24 hours and they slow down significantly within the first 24 hours, and it's best to have some spare skates on standby, you know, once they start deteriorating, or never use them at all in the first place and just switch out to aftermarket PTFE feet. The last thing I want to talk about is performance and value. I've got one personal best on my F1 Ultimate on Kovacs, but I have a total of 3 if I include my F1 Pro Max. Total of 3 personal bests on Kovacs. At a time when I am juggling 9 mice, I am actually testing a bunch of mice, and I'm testing like 6 mouse pads at the same time. So to get any kind of consistency is very difficult. So I am very impressed with how the mouse is performing and how I'm performing in Kovacs with this mouse. So you know, when you're juggling a couple of mice and you're juggling a bunch of mouse pads, it's very hard to be consistent. So even to get even any kind of personal best is an accomplishment by itself. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the value for money. At $90, which is where it stands today, this is no longer a budget banger, but you are getting the lightest mouse and the highest specs. This is a 3950 8K mouse at 38 grams. The only issue is that you don't have some bougie branding attached to it, and that also means they don't have a well-oiled machine, especially when it comes to the communication department. Now, as you can see, I've got 4 dots weighing in under 39 grams. This is 38.8 grams. The F1 Ultimate is my main small mouse. It replaced my Ninjutsu Sora V2. This is better than, for me, it's better than the Ninjutsu Sora V2. Some people will disagree with me, but you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to the facts. However, I do believe that the F1 Ultimate that I've been using for a month, I believe the position will be replaced by either the Mad R or the Skyrox as soon as it gets here, because I feel like the F1 Ultimate is a little bit on the small side for my 21 by 12 hands, and I love the mouse. It is really good, but it's just a smidgen smaller than how I would like it. So I'm looking forward to the Man R and the Skyrox. I hope it is good enough to replace or take the position of the F1 Ultimate for my small mouse fix. And thanks for watching the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.